Please like, share and subscribe. Thank you. The first generation Honda Insight was a wacky three-door contraption with wheel spats. The second generation Honda Insight was a five-door hatchback that, despite being the least expensive hybrid on the market when it launched, never caught up to Toyota's stalwart Prius. Third time's a charm, right? Now a spiritual successor to the discontinued Civic Hybrid, and slotting into the lineup between the Civic and the Accord, the Insight takes the best parts of both cars and injects them with a dose of green card that's hard to beat. And, unlike the latest Prius, you can look at it without your face going all Raiders of the Lost Ark. Success. The Insight eschews any of the Civic's visual quirks in favor of a design that Honda believes will help expand its appeal. Given how much of a hot mess the Prius is now, and how polarizing the Civic's design can be, I think Honda made the right move. The front end borrows enough from the Clarity's design without getting too weird, and its sedan silhouette has a bit of a neat fastback shape to it. Inside, there's the right amount of wear. My touring trend tester's 8-inch infotainment screen floats, sure, but there's still an entire dashboard behind it. Changing gears requires pushing or pulling buttons instead of moving a lever, but it becomes muscle memory quickly. Otherwise, the seats are supportive and the tall enough glass offers plenty of forward and lateral visibility. I was wishing for a more expansive view through the rearview mirror, though. There's no space-eating battery hump in the trunk, which means you get either 14.7 or 15.1 cubic feet of cargo space, depending on the trim, exactly the same as a Civic sedan. It's not as much as the Accord offers, of course, but it is voluminous enough to house a whole family's worth of groceries with room to spare for a giant bag of dog food. Hiding under the inside sheet metal is a 1.5-liter Atkinson cycle gas engine putting out 107 horsepower and 99 pound-feet of torque. Toss in two electric motors, and you've got a hybrid stew putting out a net 151 horsepower and 197 pound-feet. It might take some fiddling through modes and ignoring your lizard brain thoughts on engine noise to make sense of it all, but once you do, it's quite rewarding. There are 4 drive modes on offer: Normal, Sport, Eco and EV. Despite the acceleration penalty, I spent nearly all my time in Eco mode, which maximizes electricity-only operation. Normal mode sacrifices economy for more Civic-like acceleration. Sport, on the other hand, makes the engine rev higher for longer without producing any appreciable performance gains, and it actually uses the speakers to make the engine louder, so I found it was best ignored. A small battery means you'll watch the charge gauge drop surprisingly fast, but having a few miles of EV-only operation without paying for a plug-in hybrid setup is still nice. The EV button lets you choose when to let the battery do its thing alone, but there's no hold mode to ensure you have charge when you want it. The engine will kick in with barely any feeling translating to the cabin, but since it's not connected to the wheels, the revs will rise and fall independently of vehicle movement, which takes some getting used to. At higher revs in any mode, the engine is surprisingly noisy, but that's my only real complaint about how the Insight drives. Whether on the road or the highway, the Insight's ride is basically the same as the Civic's, composed without being overly stiff. It eats up potholes with aplomb, and if for some reason you want to engage in some spirited driving, it won't collapse into a discombobulated heap. Regenerative braking has 3 different strengths, which can be adjusted with the paddles behind the steering wheel, and I really like the seamless transition from regenerative to friction braking. The EPA rates the Insight touring at 51 mpg city and 45 mpg highway, but I was able to meet and beat the base Insight's rating of 55 mpg city and 49 mpg highway with little conscious effort. Use the EV button at the right times, and you'll knock on 60 mpg's door. Honda offers very few packages for its individual trims these days, instead using the trims themselves to split up the content. I'd stick with my tester's dark cosmic blue paint, which is available on all Insights. The $24,060 X offers the best value, bundling the larger infotainment screen and creature comforts like keyless entry and lane watch, but I'm a sucker for automatic climate control, heated power front seats and hot spots, so I'd stick with the $28,090 Touring. That's still thousands below the average transaction price for a new car in 2018.